Hello everyone, and welcome to one of the first one-shot preview. I'm your host, once again. So yeah, before I get into everything that's gonna be, roughly be in this one-shot, I would like to make something clear. So for those of you who is joining my channel for the first time, or in general don't know how I organize my one-shot as a whole, this is just a quick rundown. Usually when I do a one-shot, in this case, 4.5 for 4.5k subscribers, I think. Before it used to be every 1k I will do a one shot. Now I changed it a little bit to be every 250. Considering the fact that I'm growing at a slower rate, changing this wasn't wasn't the worst idea, and also wasn't the best idea because more workload, but it has been done for quite some time now, but I have been neglecting it. So yeah, welcome. And just a quick heads up, normally when I do one shots like this, the length of it should be around 10 pages in Google Docs plus intro. So intro and then I think 10 pages. That's how I normally write one shots, I believe. Aside from that, the only major thing that you need to know about how I write my one shot is that I never usually use MHA character as a one shot chip. The only time that I use it is because a group of friends, like TS friends, were doing Halloween special or something, I forgot, and I used it, and then they just gave me Ibarra for an idea, so I just have to do it. Technically speaking, I could have just said no, but it's fun, so I decided to do it. Speaking of which, on the subject of one-shot chips, usually I'll be using VTubers. This time, still VTubers, but just to give you a quick background of why I use VTubers, because like one-shot as a whole for me is really fun to write, question mark. The reason I said fun, because if you're not going the extra mile and writing 30 pages worth of content like how I did my 3k one shot, it's fun. But if you do, then you'll die. Technically speaking, the one shot that was supposed to come out at 4k, which is not Lord of the Skies, if I believe, it's gonna be 40 pages. I have to cancel that, not cancel, more like delete that, but yeah. I'll talk about that more when we actually get to releasing it, because it's not gonna be out for quite some time. Anyways, let's get into the one shot at hand. The title will be A Thorn with Love, or Love with Thorns. I haven't clearly come out on the name yet. The ship will be Rosemi Locklove from Nijisanji En. I think that's enough for the cold open. The only thing that I have left to say is this might be one of the more harder one shots for me to write. I'll explain that later on when we actually get into the storyline itself and the powers and the way it's gonna play out. Now then, I'll flash, like I usually do in my series preview. I'll just flash the thumbnail up real quick so that you can take a few seconds to take a look at it. I think usually I do 5 seconds, give or take. And yeah, I'll see you after the flash is done. So I'll be back, I suppose. Now then, now that you have seen the title, here's the funny part about this. Normally I wouldn't go out on a limb and say that I took inspiration from a lot of things, but technically speaking, for this one I kinda regret it, because I'm one of the person who still to this day refuse to do a series on it. But my ideology might change soon, but we'll talk about that later when it actually gets drafted as a series idea. So this one more likely is an inspiration, more like a play on terms on the number one hero or number one villain type ish. Reason I said that, because Rosemi herself will sort of have the control over the entire city, not in terms that she's a hero or not in terms that she's a villain, but she's one of the main power figures of the city. I won't say how or what caused her to be such a important figure in the city in the first place, but yeah, that will be safe for the story itself. Due to her, let's just say maybe for her quirk or her status or her wealth, she was able to gain control over the city. Technically speaking, taking over it without anybody to stand up to her. Even in heroes in this universe, more correct terms would be heroes in this one shot, aren't fully completely under her thumb, but due to her status in and her role itself, they wouldn't go past allowing her to do a few things that might break the law, or in this case just let her do whatever she wants. The villains on the other side consider her an ally, because if they manage to turn her to the other side, she will become a great asset to them. Not to say that she will turn, but right now she's playing one of the key figures of the story. Now, before we go talk to Izuku as a whole, let's talk about her quirk. Her quirk in this story, technically speaking, I'm not good with naming. I know that for a fact. Believe me, I have a very weird one-shot naming system that I might rework, but yeah, I have a really bad taste in naming things. But let's just say for now, her quirks have two main abilities. One will be sort of similar to Ibara, as in, not in like her hair can create vines, but in this case, she has the ability to manipulate nature to some extent. Specifically, her main flower of choice, Rose, hence the name Rosemi. If you cut the mi off, which is, if you write in Japanese, it's Rosemi. If you cut that off and turn the first word into katakana, which if I remember is katakana for like English translation words, is just mean rose. That's her flower of choice, and hence her design for Niji-sanji in the first place, with pink, light pink and reddish color schemes to represent a rose. Hopefully I'm not butchering this, but from how I look at character designs, that can be easily interpreted that way. Now then, that's her first part. Her second part is that there's a key tweaking that I have done. So since she's basically a rose, and roses have thorns in this case, so her second part, quote unquote, is that whoever get touched or get pierced by her thorns will be completely under her control. I know that sounds busted in terms of like power scaling, because even a minor injury can get you fully under her control, but I feel like that fits her for this story, since like I said before, she's like the main power figure of the city, so it kind of makes sense for her to have an ability or a sub-quirk that allows her to fully control a mind of a human subject. Not that she have full control of the said person for the entire time. The said person will still have exact train of thought, so they can still think and act on their own. But whenever she chooses for them to follow her command, they will follow her command without any flaw. Now then, that's enough of our female hero. I don't know what the best name to call her is. Now let's move on to Izuku. The thing about Izuku in this story is that he's a nobody. He's like, let's just put this into simple terms. Think of it as Romeo and Juliet, but not in terms of like Romeo and Juliet, the series, as in like the original, but Romeo and Juliet, the animation. I forgot the name, but it's basically, in English it's called Juliet or Boarding School. Basically, the female and male are different families who doesn't see eye to eye. The female sees the male side of the family as inferior. Not that I'm saying that the female, I'll just call her name, Persia, see Inuzuka as lesser than her, but her side of the family tree does see that, so that's the reason why they don't get along. Let's just say that it will be sort of a play on that. So Izuku will be taking the role of Inazuka in this series, basically a nobody. Technically, in his respective anime, he's not a nobody. He's just from a noble family that doesn't see eye to eye with the female side. But we'll let that slide. So Izuku will have to build himself up from the ground on his own, with no help at all. So it will be like I don't know if there's a term in English, but in my mother's tongue it's called, hold up, let me check something. Yeah, I don't quite remember, but basically in simple terms that he's basically a dog who sees a diamond and work his way up to a diamond, like as in work his way up in terms of status or intelligence to get that diamond, basically get the thing that he wants. I also don't know the correct term. I also don't know if that's the saying in English. Let's just say it's really hard to explain, but that's the premise of it. As for his powers, I really don't want to give him a quirk for this series. I want him to be quirkless due to the fact that it will be easier to make a story for him, to force him to work his way up from the ground. And for me personally, it's also a power shift, or like paradigm shift. Not paradigm shift, it's like more like a difference in power dynamics. The female side gets everything that she wants. She got everyone under her thumbs, while the male side character have to basically gain trust and connection and work his way up in the world. I feel like personally that fits both roles quite well, and fit as in. Technically, it does feel the quote-unquote opposite attracts. Not saying that it works in real life. Applying physics concepts, it's really weird. Technically speaking, north-south does attract though. But if we take that away, it will be something that will need to take time to develop, but I'm not sure if like 10 pages will be enough. It might be, but basically it will take time to develop, as in Izuku will see Rosemi as the person that he wants to be, as in he wants to be in her shoes, in her position. So what does he do? He work his way up towards all of the hardships in order to one day to be in a better position or the same position as her. Now then, if you go look at from Rosemi's point of view, she will view Izuku as a nobody, as in doesn't have any powers, doesn't have any status, doesn't have any wealth. And as time goes on, she will start to see him become a man that may or may not suit her. Suit her in this case, as in can be her concubine, or in this case can be her lover. Not that I'm saying I'm gonna end it like that. I'm trying to create one shot more one-sided, as in like the male character doesn't love the female character, or like the other way around, vice versa. But it should be fun. Not to mention that by doing this, it does give like a middle ground for both of them to stand on. Actually, come to think of it, there's actually no middle ground when you look at the story from an outsider perspective, like not a writer's perspective. But should be fun, I guess. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say, aside from the fact that I think that's all I wanted to say. So, closing thoughts. It should be fun. I think I should be starting working on the one shot after this video comes out. But technically speaking, this video is recorded, so I will probably start working after episode 5 of Izumiya's Full came out, and then about like a few hours after that, I'll release this video. So basically, like the same thing I always do with my series preview and stuff. And one shot as a whole should take me around 1 or 2 days minimum, and 3 to 4 day maximum for me to write, transfer script, and upload. So I hope that you're all patient with me, and we'll wait to see the final product. I hope that by me doing this video, I can at least gain some of your attention. And just want to say in advance that I do apologize if the standard doesn't meet up to par, but this is just me speaking my mind. And I thank you all for listening to me, and I'll see you like in an actual voice-to-voice video after episode 3 as Izuku as Cypher for a new series preview. Thank you all for watching.